In this video, we're going to talk about the future of building costs.
Great Scott!
Oh, this is heavy.
Now, I'm sure everybody's been wondering, with a lot of things swirling and changing, what's going to be happening to building costs really in the near future. We're nearing the end of the year. A lot of things have shifted. So in this video, I want to kind of break down two things. One, I want to look at the factors, kind of more the industry-specific factors that are impacting building costs and really the future of building costs. And then I've got a little bit of a prediction, secondly then, on where I think they're going and the tea leaves we're reading to kind of understand what might be on the horizon. Let's go into the first one. The first one being the factors, industry-specific, that are bringing some predictions to building costs. So first off, we've had some natural disasters. We had the Hurricane Helene really not too long ago, and as most everybody probably knows, it takes a little bit of time, right, from when those storms hit to when cleanup is able to be a good ways along to when rebuilding starts to happen. And so we're starting to see that, all right? There's starting to be impact within the lumber and the OSB and just some of the major construction materials market impacted from natural disasters. Secondly, we've got our neighbors to the north. Canada is in their own odd bit of a housing crisis. So you can go online and read some articles. The amount of permits that have been pulled for new housing starts has rapidly started to grow. Their housing costs have really gone up. And so Canada, oddly enough, is actually starting to limit the amount of exporting of lumber that they provide to other nations, namely to the US, to keep it home for their own construction needs. And so our post-frame industry uses a fair amount of Canadian lumber for our framing lumber and some other uses in the building. So that's a big deal, right? It's limiting the access US post-frame markets and buyers have to that wood. That's a factor. We've got new regimes, right? We just went through an election. We got a new regime about to come into play with Trump and his administration here in 2025. And tariffs have been a massive part of policy predictions and what policy statements Trump has thrown around or his administration has thrown around. And so that's going to be on Canada, on Mexico, on China, on other parts of the world. And so those policy statements, not in effect today, but those will have an impact depending on where the dust settles on all those. But all of that is creating some volatility within the marketplace right now. So what are those tariffs going to do? Where's that equilibrium going to settle? And actually the futures market are giving us some indicators as to how that's going to land. And then there's this whole factor of consumer sentiment. A big platform that Trump and his administration ran on was inflation and bringing that down. And so I think there's this, even for myself, there's this kind of built-in thought process that, okay, now that we've turned the page to a Trump regime or an administration, prices should really be going down. And really, if you look at how Trump and his administration are packaging things, they're really about economic health, not necessarily pulling down prices to a massive degree. What's our prediction on where we think things may go?
Are you telling me that you built a time machine?
And the unfortunate answer is I do believe things are in an upward trending direction. To what degree, we don't know. But what we can see from steel futures, what we can see from lumber futures, by all those factors that I just talked about, all of those futures are indicating an increase in those primary building costs for our post-frame buildings. You can even go back and look at in 2018, if you look at the steel market, as soon as those tariff policies were put into play, for the next 12 to 18 months, there was a spike in the cost or the price of that product or that input into the building cost. But if you bring that back to today, right, where we sit today at the end of 2024, we're still in a builder discount mode as we think about continuing to build out Q1 work for our crews. You think about those costs have not trickled their way down into the lumber that we have sitting out in our yard or the steel that we're buying today. That will trickle down into the reality of the building as we hit March, as we hit April. And if you think about when you purchase a building to be built in March, April, May, that's January, February, you're at these early parts of the year. So the timing is very much upon us. And so really there's no time like the present, right? And that's very much true right now from a building costs and a building urgency and getting things going perspective. So I hope these are helpful. Like and subscribe for more content like this. We hope this is informative on the factors, impacting our world right now and what we think that's going to do to building costs in the future. Hope to see you soon.